Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I'm your disheveled goblin host Daniel Greene, and today we have, well, with the new format, the first big story to jump in before we get into all of the book news, and of course it is the fact that the platform where so many of your favorite book talkers reside is shut down and gone forever. Psych, it's back, because we're led by totally competent people who aren't just driven by money. I actually was planning on doing this like big breakdown of, the legacy of book talk, how big of an impact it had on like the publishing space, authors whose careers were made there, as well as promoting book talkers who are trying to desperately migrate to other platforms here in this episode of Fantasy News. That's why I put out this tweet. And then I had to eventually put out this tweet because, psych, never mind, everything's back to normal. And it's just like, what? Oh, God. Damn it. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy that people's careers aren't ruined and over. And yes, I have tons of criticisms to levy against TikTok as a platform, but I think it's overall a net good in the book space because whether you like the books it gets people to read or not, it's getting people to read. And I like that. It's just, there was a lot of planning and data gathering over the weekend that is now just like, pfft. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the book news. The first of which is going to be an update for my next book, Better Dead. I am happy to say I am well over halfway through the second draft and plan to be sending off at least a version of it to my agent at the beginning of February. Will I actually hit that deadline?
At this stage, it's impossible to say.
But the first real piece of book cover reveal news is going to come from Gareth Hanrahan's The Sword Triumphant, with cover art by Thea Dimitriou and designed by Ella Garand. And I, in general, do not like colored swords on covers, especially. Even just like in storytelling, I'm always like, that's a bit meh. But this one looks pretty darn good. I like how its like vibrancy pulls the focus on this cover, and I think it's a really good execution of a concept that I'm not particularly a fan of. But let me know what you think of this series if you're a fan of it in the comments down below. I still have some wiggle room on my TBR for 2025. Keep an eye out for a video letting you know what I'm planning to get into in the near future. But that is not my favorite cover of the week, because holy smokes, did we get a banger of one over from HarperVoyager UK. This might be my favorite cover so far this year. I get that's not the biggest claim this early in the year, but it is still a claim. And that is going to be for The Tainted Khan by Taran Matharu, with cover art by Tomislav Tomic and designed by Toby James. And I'm a sucker for more vibrant, bright colors. I'm a sucker for interesting dragons. I like the kind of more minimalistic yet hyper-detailed approach that's combining to come together to make this. It is, and I'm confident to say this without knowing the content of the book, this is not a book review, a 10 out of 10 cover. Hot damn. Oh, one more time, put it on screen. Oh my God, I want those wings to envelop me, and I don't know why. But this is the sequel to Dragon Rider by the same author, obviously. And if it wasn't for that cover, though, we would have yet another clear winner of Best Cover of the Week, and that is going to be coming for actually a science fiction classic being rebranded, or re-arted, I should probably say, that was a misstep in the wordage. And that is going to be for Hyperion by Dan Simmons, getting the broken binding treatment, with art by Raymond Swanland. And I have good news on two fronts for Hyperion fans here. Not only is it just a stunning new cover with some interesting sprayed edges, but if you still prefer the original cover, apparently this will be shipping with both so that you can get the sprayed edges, flip it, and go ahead and use the original cover, or embrace their new art by Raymond Swanland. And this art, it's got like this swirly, ethereal style that I think really matches Hyperion Cantos quite well. I like that you kind of get to see the characters that are on this pilgrimage without too much detail. It informs, maybe arguably more so, what the vibe of Hyperion really successfully is, more so than the original cover art, though do not accuse me of blaspheming, because I still love the original art, and I think that like grassy field is in my top 50 science fiction cover arts of all time? Yes. It's also coming with these lovely interior illustrations and, of course, Broken Binding's signature sprayed edges and end papers. But before we get into a cover reveal that, believe it or not, is actually going to transition us into a smidge of drama, I would like to go ahead and do the penultimate cover reveal of the day, which is going to be for Alchemised by Lynch Yu, who you may know for publishing one of the most popular Harry Potter fanfics of all time, now coming into the publishing space with a cover reveal posted by Goodreads for their upcoming release, Alchemised. Helena Marino was once a promising alchemist until a war ravaged her world. Her resistance friends and allies have been brutally murdered, and the world she knew destroyed. Now a prisoner with inexplicable memory loss of the months leading up to her capture, her enemies wonder, is she really an insignificant healer, or are her missing memories hiding vital resistance secrets? I'm gonna guess yes. Trapped on the crumbling estate of the High Reeve, a powerful necromancer, Helena's fight to protect her lost history and to preserve the last remaining shreds of her former self is just beginning, for her prisoner and captor have secrets of their own. Secrets Helena must unearth, whatever the cost. Coming out September of 2025. With art from @Eva Eller Art. And it's just cool to live in the day and age of publishing where someone can start in a fanfic space and blow up to the point where they have this massive following of people super excited to see them like crashing into the traditional space. Yeah, and it's not a new thing that's been around for decades now, but it's still thriving, it's still doing well. I know Kayla specifically is a big fan of the Harry Potter fanfic, not panfic. That's a different story. That Lynch Yu is known for, so maybe she'll do a review on the channel. She's editing this fantasy news, so did she put something on screen? I don't know. And then this final cover reveal, I am so sorry, y'all. I did digging. I tried to go to their website, all kinds of stuff to find the cover artist, but because everything was in French, it just wasn't available. I even reached out to people and just haven't gotten a response yet. But a new edition of the Sword of Kaigen has been announced, specifically being released in France from Calix. And apparently some who show up early enough for the pre-order might even be able to get some of these nice bookends included. And in terms of this like more colorful, vibrant art for the Sword of Kaigen, it's not going to be my favorite edition yet. I am extremely biased because I work with Wraithmarked, but I would call this a 7.5 to an 8, depending on your taste. Like, it's a nice vibrancy execution, but this Felix Ortiz one, full disclosure, I have worked with Felix Ortiz before as well. I am biased in this case, but there's a reason I work with Felix Ortiz. I really like his art. But that is not the end of the Sword of Kaigen news, because there has also been another book titled Sword of Kaigen posted on Amazon. And whoo-hoo, it's not by M.L. Wong, and instead it is by M.R. Dalen, titled bracket, the sword closed bracket of open bracket, Kaigen closed bracket, colon, a legacy in frost. And I've had it confirmed by sources that this is not the first time that M.L. Wong has had to deal with people trying to, let's just call it scam off of her success. And y'all, let's just read the first bit of the blurb here, shall we? When I first conceived the Sword of Kaigen, when you first conceived, I need to properly capture the tone of what this person is doing in this moment. When I first conceived the Sword of Kaigen, I wanted to write a story that wasn't just about swordsmanship, battles, and magic, but also the complex emotions that come with love, loss, and the weight of responsibility.
Hi, is there a problem here?
That's all that's worth of my time. And let's go ahead and look at some of the reviews that have been posted. Plagiarized. This author is plagiarizing M.L. Wong's book of the same name. Plagiarized M.L. Wong's novel. This author should be identified and sued. It's clearly a plagiarized AI version of M.L. Wong's The Sword of Kaigen. Amazon needs to do something about this abuse. And yes, it is entirely 1-star reviews so far. It's a blatant scam, and I'm using this as an opportunity to, one, inform you all this is an industry-wide problem that does happen to authors of all success levels, and Specifically, if you are asking someone to buy a book for you, double check that they are getting the right version, because these exist, and they're hoping that grandmothers, aunts, uncles, whatever, who don't exactly know what's going on in this space might accidentally purchase this version instead, allegedly, in my opinion. And in a completely unrelated, different story I'm commenting on note, the idea of spending your life, your effort and energy trying to just jock off other people's success by spewing out worthless AI garbage in an attempt to have people mistakenly purchase stuff from you is one of the most just cynical, sad things I have seen scammers try to do to make money, because you're directly targeting artists. And it's so pathetic. It is just like if you met this person, and like some scammers, if they like tell you what they do, like at least you can see how from their own like dog view of the world, they think they're Jordan Belfort. It's like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. This is the kind of stuff that like even other scammers would look at and be like,
brother, what's that?
You know what? I want to be even meaner. If you're someone who's trying to just like target people who have actually put years of effort into a project and hope that like droplets of their success happen to spatter on you, you are not worth the piss that hits the toilet seat. Even by the incredibly low standards of AI publishing, you are the skid marks of those types of publications. And also shame on Amazon for letting this stay up as long as it has. It's been there for days, and it's clearly a scam. It is a ripoff. It's jocking off someone's success, and it's pathetic that a platform that integral to publishing, that is like as important in the space as one of the big five at this point, isn't taking responsibility to have an efficient, faster means to have a product like this removed. It's sad. But speaking of scams, let's go ahead and take a look at another one that has been found in the publishing space, a theme recently going on here, at least in the terms of the start of 2025, because 3 have been charged in a book publishing scam involving the Chula Vista Company, a company that is now being accused of taking over $44 million total from around 800 authors, oh my god, specifically elderly ones, promising them opportunities to get their series, books, what have you, adapted. This has been reportedly going on for 7 years, and this company convinced elderly authors to send them money for their services, promising, yes, eventual greater adaptation success. And I want to make this abundantly clear as someone who is trying to make moves in the publishing space, trad specifically, and has been learning a lot. You as an author will never be asked to pay an agent, a publisher of any kind of reputable variety, money up front. You make deals with them so that if money is eventually made, they get a cut, usually far less than half. Any deal that does not look like that, you should be highly skeptical of, or just flat out refuse on face value. Do not ever pay someone money up front to get your book looked at, promoted, adapted, anything like that in any way. Getting back to the story, Gemma Terrera Austin, as well as Michael Chris Tria Sordilla and Brian Nevelas Tarosa, based out of the Philippines, have all been arrested. And all 3 face charges of conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud, money laundering, and the U.S. Attorney's Office has said what started with a promise of Hollywood dream turned into a devastating nightmare for victims. Authors should stay vigilant, do their research, and think twice before giving money to anyone promising a blockbuster deal. If you or anyone you know has been targeted in a similar scheme, please report it to the FBI immediately. And I completely agree. Email at the bottom of this article on screen now. This is the one to reach out to. And unfortunately, before we do get into some happier news, I have one last sad piece, and that is going to be that one of my favorite creatives to ever exist behind a camera, David Lynch, has passed. The visionary director behind projects, of course, like Twin Peaks, Mulholland Drive, Blue Velvet, passed away January 15th. And of course, I would encourage people to check out his projects like Eraserhead, just these surrealist masterpieces that are influential to so many creatives you probably enjoy in the more mainstream. People like Sam Raimi and countless other directors credit David Lynch for helping shape their own styles. But beyond that, David Lynch is one of these people who, when he just even speaks about the creative process, I find to be wonderfully insightful. You'd be doing yourself a great favor to just look into some of his interviews and see as much as you can into the mind of someone who, even if he is not your taste, you have to admit, was able to bring something to the table that connected with millions and changed perceptions around television and so much more. It kind of spooks me that I talked about David Lynch a bit in my Lost video, which I released the day he passed. And yeah, you can see his influence even there. This guy, he is a unique creator, and it's a horrible loss that he's gone, but we will always have a catalog that he was able to realize to go back to and enjoy forever.
Eraserhead is my most spiritual film.
Why elaborate on that?
No, I won't.
What a heavy load Einstein must have had. Morons everywhere.
The companies will put their product prominently in the film, and the film will receive budget support as a result of advertising. How do you, as a filmmaker, feel about this growing trend?
Bullshit. Everyone, have a great day.
But let's go ahead and shift gears into some happier news, because we have gotten an update for Greta Gerwig's Narnia adaptation. And I've seen y'all's comments. It's been interesting to see Narnia fans and non-Narnia fans both react to Greta Gerwig's attempt to, admittedly, like from go, she is saying, reimagine, change C.S. Lewis's Narnia to fit her directing style. Some seem to be entirely against it and say like, hey, if you remove C.S. Lewis's like based Christian ethics, or Christian-based ethics, I should have phrased that differently, then you are losing the spirit of Narnia. While others are saying the fact that this is like the open artistic intent from go at least is informing fans, and you could end up with something that is, yes, not like honoring C.S. Lewis's story, but creating something new and different that could have its own artistic value. Obviously, we will not know the quality which way or the other until this is released, but the latest update from Netflix, who is the company behind this project, is that it will be getting a fairly wide theatrical release. Specifically, this will be put into over 1,000 IMAX screens over Thanksgiving as a streaming theatrical hybrid, planned to be released around Thanksgiving of 2026. And we saw attempts at this like hybrid release occur during COVID, and I don't think it really worked out for any major streamers doing it during that time, but I can absolutely see why someone would go, well, that could have been because of COVID, let's try again now that theater habits have returned to more of a normal pattern. And I think since then there have even been some successes that have come out in this like dual strategy. For me though, personally, if it's on a big screen and it's a fantasy epic, I will go pay to see it on a big screen. Even if it's released same day on streaming, for me personally, I like to see like that, as incredible experience as possible. And one of my like biggest movie regrets of the last 5 years, I think it was was at first watching Denis Villeneuve's Dune 1 just on my home screen, because it was during COVID and I was like, all right, yeah, I can't go to the theater. I just want to see it as I can and review it. So I watched it on my like OLED screen, and that was fantastic. But man, after seeing Dune 2 in theaters, I really wish I had seen Dune 1 in theaters, and I'm sad that I didn't. But this is going to take us to the trailers and other things releases of the week, and we have started with an odd one, beginning with Attack on Titan Requiem. The project that many people were convinced would never see the light of day is officially out and released on YouTube. It's a little whelming. I would call it whelming. It's not going to redefine or reshape how I view Attack on Titan at all. I think it's cool that fans were able to come together to do this. I understand some people have a problem with it, but hey, as someone who just likes to see how media adaptation is changing in the modern age, it's a neat experiment. But shifting gears over to trailers, for those of you who like schlocky horror, I am excited to say that we are getting another example of schlocky horror adaptation coming from the man, the myth, the legend, Stephen King, who, yes, is known for his serious adaptations like Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption, The Shining, so many more, but The guy also makes stuff like, you know, horror movies about cars, and I defend them. They are fun. Not scary, but this is happening once again, it seems, with an adaptation of a Stephen King story called The Monkey. Starring Theo James, the plot is described as when twin brothers Bill and Hal find their father's old monkey toy in the attic, a series of deaths start. The siblings decide to throw the toy away and move on with their lives, growing apart over the years. And this just looks like a bloody good time. I've become like a really big fan of Theo since I saw him in The Gentleman and gone back and seen a couple more projects he's been involved with, and seeing what he's bringing to the table, at least in this trailer, seems pitch perfect. It's blood. There's a lot of blood. The Red Band trailer, get ready for, and they do like the screaming extendo face with blood for a second, which is something that's like overplayed, but good execution of it here. So if you want to see some schlock, that seemed to be on the plate. And I don't normally cover MCU related things, but hot diggity dog, this is my favorite MCU trailer I've seen in quite some time, and that is going to be for Daredevil Born Again. Yes, they are bringing the Matt Murdock character into the MCU, and the tagline alone, "The devil's work is never done," banging. And each familiar face reappearing here is just kind of getting me giddy. I forgot how much I like the original Daredevil show, and at least from this trailer, it seems to be they are leaning into a lot of the strengths without feeling the need to pull back and reduce the more gory adult elements that really seem to drive in a fan base to follow and be excited for Daredevil to begin with. The MCU can kind of have that dual appeal where there is stuff aimed towards an older audience and younger at the same time. While there is all kinds of turmoil happening with this cinematic universe, at least this project seems to be near universally getting fans excited once again. And in the final trailer for a movie I want to talk about today, we actually have Frankie Muniz returning to the film space for a project titled Renner, which seems to be about an AI developer kind of being driven insane by the AI who is dictating and quote-unquote improving their life. This does seem to be a bit lower budget, but this kind of like B-list concept sci-fi area is where I have found so many gems that on a storytelling level I find to be just utterly brilliant. I have no idea if this will turn out to be the case, but giving things like this a chance is how I have found things like Primer, which is my favorite time travel film of all time. And of course, it's cool to see Frankie Muniz stepping back into the spotlight, and insert easy joke about Agent Cody Banks 3 being way more gory. But we are going to end the fantasy news with 3 pieces of video game news. First, we had a trailer drop for Spine, which seems to be in the spirit of Mirror's Edge, adding in more of a punk angle. And it looks like a triple A-list game from like the mid-2010s, but I mean that as a compliment. I'm enjoying the fact that more and more as video games are maturing as an art form, people are understanding that certain eras of gaming had their charm and their appeals, and it's okay with modern technologies to kind of go back to that method, that style, and pull artistically from what people connected with at that time. I might be reading way too much into a trailer, but I would defend myself by saying this trailer featured a lot of gameplay. And some of the most fun I've had in the video game space recently has been going to projects that have been kind of embracing a similar style and mythology. And with a lot of games that have just been keeping it simple and mastering a specific vibe more and more in recent years, getting critical acclaim within the video game space, I don't think this is a trend that's going to go away. There is a reason Astrobot and Baltaro, I think that's how you say it, resonated so strongly. They did not break barriers, but they were polished. And then in just quickie news that I find to be very entertaining because it showcases just how much technology has advanced in the last few decades, Doom, the original game, is now playable on a PDF file. Not like a Drake PDF file, like a lot of people use for censoring in the modern sense, but instead like the document PDF file. Wow, that word has been tainted. And then the final piece of video game news that is going to be massive potentially for franchise-loyal gamers, there are 2 rumors circulating specifically around Halo, though I want to make it clear these are coming from leakers who have been right in the past, but this is not confirmed. That's why it's not in the title and it's at the end of the video. First, it seems that Halo could finally make the jump to additional consoles outside of being on the Xbox and PC, specifically coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 and PlayStation. And then finally, the internet is currently abuzz with the potential that another Halo game could actually be announced this year. Now, if that first rumor is true, it seems they will most likely be releasing the Master Chief Collection specifically for those consoles. Whether or not all of this will be confirmed, only time will tell. But this has just been your latest episode of Like and subscribe if you have not already, and hit the Patreon if you'd like to support what I do here. Thank you all so much, and look forward to a review of the Dandelion Dynasty series from Ken Liu dropping later this week for me. To why you haven't gotten book reviews in 3 weeks, I have just been binging this quadrilogy, and I am so excited to finally release it in a Sun Eater style review, being edited by my wonderful editor, Ben. Yep, it's a beautiful day here, snowing, I'm feeling happy, love y'all, and hope you have an incredible week. Bye!